Well, hello and welcome to my channel. Well, today I'm going to create some backgrounds for my Planet of the Apes figures. You know, if you've been watching my channel for any length of time, you've seen this before, this one that Ursus is riding on. That's a base that I put together for displaying some of my Megos. I'm also working on, right now, a couple of these Planet of the Apes Scarecrows. And, you know, I'm thinking maybe 2 or 3. I'm going to try 2 and see how that works, because I've been posting pictures on Instagram and Facebook, and you know, I really need some background kind of like details to kind of tie into the Planet of the Apes. So that's what I'm going to be working on today. I'm going to be creating a my second Scarecrow for, you know, display. The materials I'm going to be working with, I got most of the stuff at Hobby Lobby. Like the first thing I have is this really thick felt. You can see it looks kind of like fur. I've used that for you know, clothing for my tailor figures, you know, the Savage Tailor with the, it's not really a tunic, just the wrapping, I guess. So I'm gonna be using that. I also found this like mesh floral wrap also at Hobby Lobby. I think it looks pretty cool. I like that texture, right? It comes in a variety of colors, but I chose this one. It's like olive drab. I also found this really cool, it's like a floral wire. I found this at Michael's. You know, I'm going to be using that for a couple of things. I think mainly for the fingers on the Scarecrow. And I got a variety of flora, you know. These are just some things I found at in the clearance aisle at, like, you know, Hobby Lobby and Michael's. I was just making a trip out there, right? I'm also going to be using this right here is my Krylon matte summer wheat. I'm going to be using this to do the finish on the piece itself, on the foam, so that I get that kind of like sand effect. And I'm also going to be using some of this foam. I get this over at the Lowe's. It's, I think, about an inch thick. Let me see. Got my handy dandy ruler here. I'm going to need that as well. Yeah, it's about an inch thick. So those are the materials I'm going to be using today, along with a couple of dowels I picked up. You know, I've already cut these down to size. I think they're 12 inches, because I want the scale to be somewhat impressive, you know, right next to the horses especially. So it's about 12 inch, and let's see what the diameter is. What is that? It's a 1/2 inch? No, it couldn't be. It's about a 1/2 inch, I guess. It's weird. I didn't think it was that big. So that's what I'm going to be working on today. I'm going to be working on creating the Scarecrow from the Planet of the Apes franchise. All right, to join these pieces, what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a mark, I think at about 5.5 inches, just because, you know, I'm going to have to bury the feet a little bit. So at 5.5, I'm going to make a mark on each one of these. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my saw to go ahead and make a notch in each one of those so that they'll fit together as like an X. Okay, so I'm going to do that off camera, but you know, all you need to do is just cut a little notch into each one of these, and then that way it'll kind of fit a little bit easier as you put them together. And I don't know, I haven't decided on epoxy or hot glue. I used epoxy on my first one that I made. Let me see if I can pan over and show it. You know, I used some epoxy on that, but I think that, you know, just regular hot glue would work. So I'm going to go ahead and do that next. I'm going to go ahead and notch those, and I'm going to glue them together. Be right back. All right, whatever method you use, Dremel, knife, handsaw, whatever, I'm not going to show it on camera because you guys have different ways of doing stuff. Just make sure that there's like a little angle to each one of them, because remember, you want it to fit kind of like a cross, and that cross has to be kind of narrow. I don't know, what's that, about a 30-degree angle? I don't know if you want to get your protractor out or whatever, but you want it to be like an X, but you want it to be kind of narrow at the top, like that. Maybe, oh yeah, use your Vulcan sign to kind of help you out if you need it, right? I guess that's as far as my Vulcan sign goes, right? Live long and prosper. So, oh, wrong franchise. So anyway, once you've got your X together, you'll notice that the notches allow the piece to kind of like fit together pretty well. And I'm just going to grab my hot glue gun, and let me put a couple of dabs in there. Oops, I don't think I plugged it in. Hang on one second, I'll be right back. As I was waiting for my hot glue gun, I noticed that I hadn't drilled in the holes, right? On the top part, you'll notice the top part is the shorter length, right? That's up here. On the top part, I drilled a couple of holes. I think it was a 3/16 inch bit, or you go 1/4 inch, and I only drilled in maybe not even 1/2 inch, right? And what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut some lengths of this, like, it's like a floral wire that's wrapped in like burlap or whatever. And I'm going to cut a couple of those lengths. Let's see, this one is about, I think about 4 inches long. I'll cut another one that's about 4 inches long. I can always cut these back if they're too big. So let me cut that one as well. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take these and I'm going to put them into a U. I'm going to take this one and put it into a U too. All right, and they're going to fit together like that. Let me pinch them at the bottom. Now, if one's a little shorter than the other one, that's no big deal. It's kind of like what we're going for anyway, so I'm just pinching them at the bottom. And I get this sort of arrangement here. And then I'll bend this up. And then I'm going to bend these towards me like this. And that's going to be like my little claw hand or whatever. I don't know, you can mess with them and see how you want them to be. Let me see if this will fit in my little hole. Nope, let me go ahead and squish it a little bit more. There we go. So that's kind of like what the look you're going for. Let me go ahead and glue those in now, just so I can use them as a reference point too for when I place the fur. You know what? I'm gonna have to glue these together first. I'm gonna go ahead and take the second one off camera, and I'll be right back. All right, now that I got both of my little hands done, I'm gonna go ahead and glue these together. Again, remember, maybe maybe the glue stick is the way to go, because if you mess up, you can always go back. So I've got them joined together. I'm gonna go ahead and get the glue stick, and I'm gonna start applying the glue. And if it's a little messy, it's not a big deal. It's gonna be covered. So I'm gonna hold those, let those dry. And it looks like the hands are gonna go this way. So I'm gonna go ahead and start with that. Put a little drop of glue in there. And the little hand will come out that way, and then another little drop of glue over here. And then this hand will go right there. So that's where I am right now. I'm gonna go ahead and let this dry, and I'll go to the next step. See you in a sec. For the next part, what I've done is I've cut a strip about 2 inches long, wide. Okay, and I'm gonna use these strips as the basis for my arms. I can cut a straight line. That looks terrible. I think it'll still work though. Let's see. Because all I have to do is just get it around the piece. Yeah, it's gonna make it. And you want this little bunchy part down here at the bottom, because that's going to give you like some, I guess, heft to the piece down here in the waist. So it looks like it's going to make it across. So I'm going to take this and I'm just going to put some little slits in it. Make it look like ragged up at the top. And what this is going to do is going to give that kind of like, I guess, ragged look right up at the top to add to the, I guess, that's what I'm looking for. I guess to the depth of the piece, because you got these hands right here, right? So it's gonna kind of frame them. And so once I have it in the position that I want, I'm gonna go ahead and glue it down. I think that's gonna look good. So I'm just gonna take my glue and apply it there. And you can see that's working great. And probably right here too. If it bunches and stuff, it's not a big deal, because remember, these things were just like little scarecrows. You know? And that's the first arm, right? Let me go ahead and get the second one done. I'm going to do it the same way. Come up here at the top. And just, let me do the thinner end. Just make it kind of ragged. And place that here. Again, you just want to frame the hand that you have. And again, the bunching doesn't really matter. And that's what it looks like so far. Let me see if I can get it. Well, that works. So that's what you're going for right now. Some of you guys might talk about, well, he needs a little bit of a head. I'm going to do that part after I get the legs done. So I'm going to do one of the legs off camera, and I'll do the other one on camera, just so you can see. There's something a little special here. You got to leave a little bit at the end, because remember, you're going to be sticking this into a base. So you need about, I guess, maybe 3/4 of an inch or so at the end. I'll be right back. I'm just going to cut off a little bit at the edge, because remember, I'm trying to get down here at the bottom and do like a little, I guess, rough part, because this is going to be buried into the base, right? So you can see that's going to act as like a little foot. So let me go ahead and start here and just start gluing it down. It's the same process for like what we did for the arms. Just make a little band across and wrap it. Little band across. And wrap it. If you got any like holes or whatever, you can just add as you go. Okay, I'm not going to go all the way down to the bottom, because again, this is going to be the base. And I just cut the little, you might want to do this before you put the fur on. See, I'm just cutting, roughening these things. Just making them look ragged. Man, that bread machine's working overtime. You know, it's like the best invention, because I love bread, but nowadays it's just like, you know, they put so much in it to keep it fresh for longer that, you know, I don't know how much bread is bread anymore. So anyway, that's what I got so far. Now for the next step, I'm going to take a little bit of newspaper. Not much. And I'm going to take it and I'm going to wrap it. Might need a little bit more. I did this one ahead of time. That's about the size. And I'm just going to wrap it and kind of twist it, because I'm looking for a little loop, right? This might be too much. And I'm going to use this little loop as kind of like the head. You know, I got some beefiness in the chest already, so I might use this in the back. And it looks like I'm going to have to cut some of this off in the back. Okay, so this is kind of like what I'm going for, because I'm going to take another strip, about the same size, about 2 inches in width. I have to go down to the Hobby Lobby and get some more of this stuff, because I'm not going to be able to make another one of these. I think 2 is the limit with this roll that I got. Hopefully they still have it. I don't know, I can see this being something that they have a lot of, just because it's, you know, has a lot of purpose to it. So let me go ahead and glue this down, and then I'm going to go ahead and wrap it across. I'm just going to put a little glue where I have the cross here, and place that right there. And then just take my covering here, put that across. And I got some scraps laying around, so I'm going to put those down too. I'm going to be doing something else to kind of like mitigate some of the other areas that I have. So remember, it was like kind of like a hodgepodge anyway, right? Of different furs that they put together. So this is kind of like what we have so far. Okay. And then I'm going to go ahead and let that dry, and I'm going to get some wrap, and we're going to wrap it up. Okay, I'll be right back. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take some of my mesh, my floral mesh wrap, and I'm going to cut off about maybe, I don't know, 6 inches. And then I'm going to take that and I'm going to cut it into like thirds, because I'm going to use these little strips to tie down some of the fur and provide the seams, so it doesn't look as rough as it does now. So it's going to be like a finishing step for this. I don't think we're done, but you know, it's a nice little step to show that you've, I guess, finished off your piece. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to wrap it in certain areas where I've got some of these open areas that are bunching. And let me go ahead and start in the back. This stuff kind of clings by itself, so it's pretty easy to work with. I'm just going to put a drop of glue there. I'm going to squish that down. I use low temperature glue, so I don't usually burn myself. And you can see I'm just wrapping around the seam there. And I'm going to cut off the excess piece that I have. Okay, I'm going to do the same thing over here on this side. Maybe I'll go up a little bit. That looks good. Put a drop of glue there. And cut off, you know what? Maybe not cut off the excess. Maybe a little bit, but yeah, it looks cool having it off the side like that. So I'll leave it like that. Looks like I ran out of glue from a glue gun, so I'll be right back. I want to establish the head a little bit more, so I think I want to put a piece right there. And glue that down. And then take off the excess, because in the back nobody's going to see it. Looks like I might need a little piece of go across the back here to cover that up. Kind of looks like moss, I guess. I don't know. There's all sorts of stuff on that Scarecrow in the movie, right? That's looking pretty cool. Oops, I'm making a mess of the glue. Look at that. And let me go ahead and do the top part too. Maybe I'll come across like a little bandolier. Losing my bunching there. What do you think? Maybe not. I guess I'll just go across like I wanted to across the arm here. Need a bigger piece. I think that'll work. I don't know about the wrists. think I'm going to leave them off. Oops. Looks like I'm making a mess with this glue over here. What do you think? I think we might be done. You think a wrist will look good up here? Yeah, what the heck. I'll go ahead and do that too. Then I can pull the ragged parts out. Yeah, that's pretty cool. I think I went to the other side too. These are little scraps I just had left over. I'll go back and clean that up with some scissors. All the little threads of glue. That looks neat. I think I'll do it down at the bottom too. I'll go ahead and cut this one strip that I made in half. And let's see. Looks like it might be right about there. Yeah, it also helps close it up. It's pretty neat. This little floral wrap. Again, I got this at Hobby Lobby. So, there's our Scarecrow complete. Let me go ahead. Oh, that works. Gonna zoom out. That's what we have so far. You know, I got a little cleanup to do. Actually, you know, it looks like leaves and junk. I might just leave it. But that's what we got so far. Now I think I'm going to start working on the base. I'm going to clean this up a little bit. And I'll start taking the measurements for the base. I think my last one was maybe 5 or 6 by 12. You know, let me see. This base right here is about 7, but I don't want it that long. I did this one almost 5.5 or 6, and I think it's also by 12. So I think that's what I'm going to be working with. Yeah, it's about 12. So I think that's what I'm going to work with. I'm going to go ahead and go outside and cut a couple of pieces of my foam so I can get started on that. I won't show you the cutting process. I'm going to do that outside. You know, this stuff puts out these fumes that are really, really bad. I'm sure they're terrible for you. So I make sure that I do it in a well-ventilated area. If I do it inside, I usually have my fan on, but I'm going to go ahead and do the major cutting pieces probably outside, and I'll bring them in and I'll show you the sections that I'm using. This is what I have so far. I actually used a handsaw instead of the little wire cutter that I have. So I'm going to make sure that I have the fan on. But before I do that, you know, I had this little weird piece like left over, and I thought that might be cool. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and tack it right here, and I'm going to use it as part of my my base. So I'm just going to put a tack, not like glue it down proper, because I just want it to stay in place while I mold around it. So there's my tack. Make sure it's steady. And let me go ahead and plug in my iron. Or not my iron, my little cutter. And I'm going to go ahead and start to shape it. Now the reason I tacked it is because see these edges right here? I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to have to cut those down, but I want to make sure that I get the edge here done. So go ahead and flip this on, and you'll see what I'm talking about. I'm going to go in it at an angle, and I'm going to go back and forth, make it look kind of like rugged. Like a rock. See, that's the effect I'm going for. Hopefully when I glue it down, it'll be a little bit nicer. You want to see that seam. Okay, and then on this side as well. You can see there's really no rhyme or reason for this. I'm just cutting as I go. Try to maintain an angle. It's hard on this one because it's a little thicker. It's hard to get that angle. Okay, so that's kind of like the look I'm going for. Let me come back on this. What do you think? Go ahead, place my piece in there and see what it's going to look like. Yeah, I think so. Once I put some greenery down, it'll be cool. So then I'm going to take this part off, and I'm going to go ahead and start shaping it. Let's see. Some of you guys may have more experience with your wire cutter than I do. Okay, and then this one at an angle. So I guess that's what the piece is going to look like before I roughen it. Actually, I'd like it a little bit more tapered at the top. And less square. You know what I mean? What do you think? I'm going to get my little stone out and roughen it a little bit, but I think that's kind of like what the effect I'm going for. Sorry about that. So yeah, look, I kept the contours here on the side. Okay, and I'm going to see, I'm gonna have to put this back. I should lift it on there. So I forgot this side. There we go. I was able to do that. Remember, I want this to be a base a little bit for my my piece, so I'm keeping it kind of flat. Okay, looks pretty good. I'm going to go ahead and roughen it up now using that stone that I've got. Let's see, I'm going to put this up here. Final check. I think that's going to look good. Okay, I'm going to go get my stone. I'll be right back to share this with you guys. Hobby Lobby's motto is "Live a creative life." Pretty cool, huh? I love that logo, or that motto. So anyway, let's go ahead and take our piece, and we're going to just have this stone here. I think it's been around with me since my first episode, and I'm just going to go ahead and mar up the surface using different areas of the, or faces of the rock to get this accomplished. Just pressing into it, kind of just roughening it up. This is going to give you some of the texture that you need. And then I'm going to be applying a little wash to it, and so that's going to give it, you know, like some areas, some depressions for the wash to work into. And then try to vary it so that you're not using the same face over and over again, so that you get a little variety of texture to your piece. Oh, it's looking good. I'm always amazed how these things turn out in the end, you know. Live a creative life. That's a great little motto. I'm having a lot of fun with these customs and all these little accessories that I'm putting together. I think my favorite one so far has been my Bride of Frankenstein diorama that I put together. It was a copy of a Mobius Mobius model. I think that's probably been my favorite, I guess, construction piece so far. Looks like I'm almost done with this. Yeah, it's looking pretty weathered. All right, the next step is I'm going to go ahead and paint it, and I'm going to put in a wash. I'll show you the painted one first before I do the wash, and so you can see the difference. I'll be right back. Well, there's the piece after a couple of coats. What I use this matte summerweed, and it provides a really good sand color. Now the next step is going to use my water-based solution of my Minwax. Now there's different colors. This one's a brown. This one's called Canyon Brown, and I've used that before. This one I'm going to be using today is called an Ebony. And I'm going to use the Ebony with a mixture of water, about 50-50, to create a stain. Now I'm not going to do all of it in the house because my wife will kill me, but I'm just going to put a little bit on a brush so that you can see what it looks like. So what you do is just basically layer it into the model, and it gives you a nice kind of like wash that you're going to use for your piece. So it kind of like goes into the little recess that you created. And then you can also use a let me see. You can use a washcloth to kind of like wipe off the parts that you don't want covered, right? And that gives it like a little mottled appearance as well. So that's what I'm going to be doing with the rest of the piece outside. I'm going to be taking my Minwax solution and just kind of like washing it. I'll be right back. You can see how that wash has kind of roughened it up a little bit. Made it look weathered. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to take my Scarecrow and I'm going to decide on the placement. I think I want him at like an angle in this particular piece. Maybe right about there. So I'm going to mark the places where his feet would rest, because I'm going to have to make some holes in there. So that's his placement right there. Let me go ahead and make those holes and continue on. Now, you know, I debated on how to do these. The last one I used my little drill to drill a little hole, and then I used my rasper to enlarge the hole. I think it might be easier just to use my my heat component for my wire cutter. Let me go ahead and get that and try that. You know, I picked up this foam cutter on eBay for like 20 bucks, and it's been really invaluable for doing these projects with the foam. It comes with a couple of accessories, of course, the cutter. I don't know what this thing does. And I've used this before. I use this to help sculpt the stonework in my Frankenstein model. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this to kind of like enlarge the hole today. Remember, I'm going at an angle, so let me go ahead and... Man, this is just cutting it pretty easily. Let me go ahead and check the size of that one for the fit. Yep, good, but I need to go deeper, so let me go a little deeper. And again, you want to make sure that you have your fans on, because you can see the smoke coming up. That stuff is nasty. I think it's giving me a hoarse throat. Well, it could have been the swimming too. Boy, that thing is making good holes. Let me go ahead and turn this off. I'm gonna place it on the rest there. And let's see, how did I do? Yeah, it looks pretty good. I'm gonna go ahead and take care of his base. I'm gonna go ahead and glue those in. Oh yeah, look at that. Yeah, those look like little feet. Yeah, that's gonna be great. I'll be right back. I'm gonna go ahead and put in my my hot glue gun, and I'm gonna glue them in place along with some of the greenery that I have. Now, this was just like clearance greenery that I got at Hobby Lobby and at Michael's when I was there. There's some really cool pieces here. Remember, when you're choosing greenery, it's important to make sure that you get it to scale. You don't want large leaves. You want small leaves on everything that you get. You know, you want it to be scaled down to about 1/9 scale. I also found this. I don't know how I'm going to be using this, but it's a plastic tree branch. You know, all this stuff is found in the floral section at your local Michael's or Hobby Lobby. So let me get that glue gun working, and I'll be right back. Now I'm going to start putting down my greenery. Remember, this is the forbidden zone, so there's not a lot of vegetation here. So I think I'm going to start with, let's see. I guess that looks pretty good there. And I'm going to have this one come across maybe there to give it a little weight. And this little fern piece, I was thinking right there. And cover that stick with a little bit of greenery. So I'm going to get those glued down, and I think I'm going to be finished. So that goes right there. Yeah, this is a fun little project, and like I said, I'm going to be using it for taking pictures and putting stuff on Instagram, Facebook. So I think it's gonna pay for itself. Well, you know, in fun posts, I guess it's not going to be worth anything. But there it is. It's finished. I'm going to go ahead and I guess take it outside and check it out with my gorillas. So give me a moment just to go ahead and get that together, and we'll be right back. Well, there's the one I did on camera. It's completed. You can see I put it right next to my other one. They look great, don't they? You know, I was a little hesitant about the size. I thought maybe a 12-inch dowel might be too much, you know, but, you know, you do lose about 3/4 of an inch, maybe half an inch at the base. So, you know, it's maybe 11 and a half inches. But, yeah, the scale is spot on. You know, I put that figure next to them so that you could see kind of like how they're scaled. And you can see that that 12-inch or that foot is really what you need to go with. You know, these are a very simple project, I think. You know, the hardest part is going to be collecting all the pieces, you know, the little felt to the fur. You know, they may have it at Walmart, you know, they're definitely going to have it at Michael's or Hobby Lobby. You know, so source those out. The greenery, like I said, I just got it on online, and it was some of it was clearance actually. Michael's is having a 75% end of summer sale, so head on down there and see what you can find. But overall, very, very pleased with them. Look how it just kind of like makes my ape army pop, you know. I think I'm going to be posting a couple of pictures on this because I'm very excited about what I've done here. I hope you enjoyed watching this. It's not a hard project to do. I think it's something that, you know, if you have Planet of the Apes figures, you know, whether they're astronauts or the new ones that came out, or just some apes and you want to take some pictures with them, you know, these Forbidden Zone Scarecrows are definitely, I think, worth the make. So until next time, you guys just take care, have fun with your Megos, and I will see you guys soon. Bye-bye now.